everyone, and welcome to languagecaster.com, the football language podcast for learners of English who love football, the beautiful game. I'm Damien, and I'm in a very blustery London. We've just had a storm passing through the UK. I wonder what the weather is like in Tokyo, where, of course, Damon is based. Hi, Damon.
Hi, Damien. Good to talk to you. It's been a while. No storms here in Japan, just a cold, grey day. A lot of the Sunday League football games have been called off here in Tokyo as it rained all last night and the pitches are now waterlogged. A good day for watching football rather than playing. Talking of which, what have you been watching recently?
Well, I saw my favourite team, Tottenham, go to the league leaders Manchester City yesterday and score 3 times to win, which was great, although I was a nervous wreck watching it on television. Everybody loves a last gasp winner. This was a huge surprise as Spurs had lost their previous 3 matches while Manchester City had scored 9 unanswered goals in their past 2 matches. They had not conceded any goals at all. Now, football is a funny old game, is an expression, a cliche, that can sum up that result. But there's an expression in Spanish that you might be interested in, Damon. Hay liga. Literally, it means that there is league.
So is that a bit like in English saying the title race is back on? Liverpool winning and Manchester City losing means there's a gap of 6 points between the teams, and Liverpool have a game in hand and have to play Manchester City. So if they win those matches, the 2 teams will be even. I think I'll wait a bit as a Liverpool fan supporter before I say Hey Liga, though.
Typical football fan pessimism. Yeah, the title race is definitely on. It's the title race is heating up, I think we could also say.
Unasikiza languagecaster.com.
Now, regular listeners will know that we've been following the 2021 African Cup of Nations over the past 4 weeks, including last week's show, which focused on the final between Egypt and the eventual winners, Senegal. Damon, did you get to see any of the recent African Cup of Nations?
Unfortunately, I didn't, Damien, apart from some highlights, but congratulations to Senegal becoming champions of Africa for the first time. Well deserved.
Vous écoutez languagecaster.com.
Okay, let's turn to some football language from last week's Champions League and the match between PSG and Real Madrid. Damien will talk about a kind of pass, a backheel. Okay, let's take a look at this phrase.
The France striker received the ball on the left from a clever backheel by Neymar and got between 2 defenders inside the box before slotting through Thibaut Courtois' legs to send the Parc des Princes wild. This sentence is taken from the BBC Match Report, and I thought it was interesting as it includes so much information about the PSG winning goal. First, Mbappe receives the ball, then he beats the defenders and scores, and then the goal leads to huge celebrations in the stadium. Let's take a closer look at some of the language. The France or French striker refers, of course, to Kylian Mbappe, who receives the ball from his teammate Neymar, and this assist comes from a back heel. Remember, this is a pass that a player can give by using the heel rather than the front of the boot in order to send the ball in the opposite direction, and this causes the defence to be confused or wrong-footed. Now, I thought this was called a tacon in Spanish, as this is the word for heel, but I wasn't quite right, and here's Fran, who lives in Malaga in Spain, explaining how to say the word backheel in Spanish.
Hey Damien, how's it going? The right word for a backheel is un taconazo, okay? Nearly, you got it nearly right. Taconazo is a backheel. Okay, enjoy your weekend. Bye.
Thanks a lot to Fran for explaining backheel in Spanish to us, taconazo. Damon, how is this said in Japanese, do you know?
Well, I think it's a version of English backheel, but let's see what my Japanese teammate Makoto says. We can also hear from his wife Tina on how to say it in Hungarian.
Hello, Damien. Hope you are doing great. The right word for backheel in Japanese, かかとで後ろに蹴る. To kick the ball backward with your heel, but it's a bit longer. So we normally say that backheel. As you say. Hope this helps and enjoy your weekend. And here's Tina. So please say it in Magyar.
Hi Damian, I hope all is well. So in Hungarian we say sarkazás. So take care. Bye.
Take care.
Brilliant. Yes, I've heard back heel in Japanese pronounced backheel or heel pass a lot while playing in Japan, but I've never heard the Hungarian, so thanks, Tina. It'd be great to hear how other languages say this phrase, back heel. You can do this by dropping us a line at admin@languagecaster.com or by posting it onto our forum page where we have opened a new question on this topic.
Ön a languagecaster.com-ot hallja.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks a lot to Tina, to Makoto, and to Fran. Okay, let's return to that PSG Real Madrid game and that goal. So, after receiving Neymar's back-heeled pass, Mbappe runs between two Madrid defenders inside the penalty area. That's the box. And then the report says that he slotted the ball through the keeper's legs, which of course means that he carefully placed the ball between the keeper's legs. To slot home suggests accuracy. The player deliberately placed the ball, usually low, into the net. Of course, the goal was also scored in the 94th minute, so this made the celebrations even bigger, and the home crowd at the PSG stadium, that's the Parc des Princes, went wild. They were sent wild by the wonderful Kylian Mbappe goal.
Now, we've received quite a lot of questions about football recently from lots of different football fans around the world. Remember, you can post a comment on the site, use the forum, send an email to us at admin@languagecaster.com or look for us on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram, which is where Alvaro asked about a special kind of kickoff.
So Alvaro says, I'm trying to find out what to call the first kickoff strike taken by a person honoured by the club. Could I say he took the kickoff of honour? Well, thanks a lot, Alvaro, for the question. Well, I wasn't so sure about this because I don't know if this kind of thing happens so much in English football, but I have seen the phrase honorary kickoff in some examples. We might also focus on the person taking the kickoff and simply say, the guest of honour kicked off. I'd love to know if other listeners can help with this question. What do we call a guest who kicks off a game? I posted this on our forum, so you can add an answer there, or by dropping us a line at admin@languagecaster.com or below this post.
Next up was a comment from Ivan, who is from Slovakia, and he asked about a phrase he read in an article from Sky Sports about Kieran Trippier's foot injury while playing for Newcastle last weekend. Ivan wanted to know whether got stamped on is usually used to describe a kind of foul when a player stamps on an opponent's foot, or whether there's a different or more common term used.
Thanks, Ivan, for the question. Yes, if a player stamps on another player, then it means they have stepped on the opponent. We can also say to stand on someone's foot, but this suggests more of an accident than stamping. The word stamp suggests something more violent than a step, and of course it depends on whether the player did this accidentally or on purpose or deliberately. If a referee thinks a player has stamped on another player deliberately, Then they will receive a card, maybe a red one. The Newcastle manager Eddie Howe has said that Trippier was stamped on by another player and has used got instead of be or was, so a common way of using the passive form or the passive voice, and this means that something was done to the player by someone else. Sometimes we might also hear the action described with the word studs, and these of course are on the bottom of the player's boot and help the players to keep their balance on the pitch, but not usually as a verb. So for example, the player's studs came down on the opponent's foot.
Now, Ivan also followed this up by sending us the translation in Slovak, which is šlapak. We'd love to hear of any other words and expressions to describe the phrases we've looked at on the show. Thanks again for the question, Ivan.
Ακούτε languagecaster.com.
Yes, you are listening to languagecaster.com, and that message was in Greek. And we'd love to hear from anyone else who might like to share the message you are listening to languagecaster.com in their or indeed any other language. We have over 30 different languages, but are always looking for more. Drop us a line with a short audio. And don't forget that there's a transcript to this podcast and lots of vocabulary support, which you can access by coming along to our site here at languagecaster.com.
Yes, Damon, we also have a football language forum where fans of the beautiful game can ask and answer questions on all kinds of football language. Come along and join in the football language discussion. Now, we've had lots of really interesting comments and questions there recently, including one from regular contributor DWI Dwee, who asked about the phrase to stick the ball wide, which refers to a bad miss by a player. Now, as we mentioned earlier in the show, we've also posted a couple of questions up there this week about the expressions to do with a stamp and words to describe a back heel. But we're also interested in what kind of language people use to describe the player who lies down behind the defensive wall when a free kick is being taken near the goal. You can see a picture of this on our post. I think I've heard the phrase draft excluder here in the UK. This is something people do to keep their rooms warm by placing something at the bottom of the door. But I was wondering what other ones in any language people have heard or used.
Yeah, draft excluder is definitely a new phrase in football. I think I probably heard it 2 or 3 years ago for the first time. Language is always changing. Okay, that's it for this short podcast in which we have looked back at some of the words and phrases from the last 16 of the Champions League, including slot home and back heel.
Okay, thanks everyone for listening and enjoy all the football this week. There's more Champions League. And we'll see you again soon with more football language. Bye-bye.
Ta-ra.